And I want to assure you Kenyans and the selection panel that as we speak today, 219 applications have been made by young people from our sectors. And we have 10 more pending applications that are yet to be submitted by close of day today at 5 p.m. So the selection panel should not tell us that they do not have young people to pick from. They have a pool of young people to pick from.
We demand that the selection panel ensures that at least two Kenyans who are of the age group of youth are appointed as IEBC commissioners. Youth representation is not a privilege, and it is a necessity and a right. A commission that does not reflect the demographics of its people cannot claim legitimacy.
And in a democracy, majority have their way, while minority have their say. In Kenya, at the moment, minority have their way, while minority have their say.
Kila mtu anataka kura ya vijana in 2027. Lakini watu hawataki kuhusisha vijana mahali ambapo mambo yanapikwa. Mahali ambapo masuala yanafaa, watu hawataki kuhusisha vijana.
Ladies and gentlemen from the press, we are honored by your presence this morning. Before you is a constellation of youth leaders in the Republic of Kenya, drawn from the civil society, drawn from political parties, youth leadership. Those are the youth leagues and other youth affiliate bodies of political parties. We also have representation from youth leaders from academia, the private sector, and also young people cutting across all the spheres of interest in our republic. And we are here majorly to address ourselves on the very timely, contentious issue of the reconstitution of the Independent Electoral Commission of the Republic of Kenya. We are also aware that today marks the end where the panel that was constituted is going to receive applications from across the country. So we are here, the way I've elucidated, convened as young leaders, and we are going to address ourselves to this particular very timely and important issue in our country.
I am the Kidimwaga, and I will read the statement. The youth leadership, we the young people, we convene here today as a youth leadership drawn from political parties, civil society and private sector to speak to the nation. We meet here today acutely aware of the despondency that is sweeping across the nation. Everywhere you turn, you meet Kenyans, young and old, anxious about their lives. We have the option of folding our hands and joining the chorus of whiners. But out of deep appreciation that we are masters of our own destinies, we face the nation today to report that one, the glory of this country will continue to deteriorate if young people will continue to play second fiddle in the civic life of this country. In spite of the systematic and hugely coordinated reprisal from the state, we must soldier on, for the idea of a better Kenya is an ideal we must remain willing to live for, but if need be, to die for. Two, that in the last election, up to 13 million Kenyans repudiated our electoral process by staying away completely. It is instructive to note that this number is almost twice as high as the number of votes that each of the two leading presidential candidates garnered in 2022 elections. Three, that Kenya National Bureau of Statistics has projected that at least 1 million Kenyans attain the majority age each year. This therefore means that as a country, in furtherance of the right to political participation anticipated in Article 38 and Article 55B of the Constitution, we must register at least 22 million new Kenyans as we head to the 2027 general elections. Four, that in the view of the foregoing, the IEBC selection panel is therefore a critical step in the right direction. We believe legitimately that we have qualified, competent, and honorable young professionals who can serve as commissioners in the IEBC. Five, that after numerous disdainful treatment of young people by this administration and past administrations, we believe that as a critical first step of enhancing civic participation of young people, we must be able to see the shortlisted candidates reflecting the reality that we have got young people who are qualified to serve in the IEBC. 6, that young people must be given a chance to appear before the selection panel to defend their suitability or lack of it thereof. 7, that we send a clear message to the selection panel that if the shortlisted candidates do not reflect this political reality, then we are on standby because the streets shall be our playing field. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I now invite my sister Nemo to read another statement. Thank you.
To continue the statement.
Oh, sorry, to continue.
Members of the Fourth Estate, thank you very much. My name is Neema Sheikh Abdikadir, and I will be continuing with our speech. We, the young people of Kenya, stand here today to make one thing clear, that the time of youth inclusion in the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, is now. For far too long, the young people who form the majority of the electorate have been sidelined in the very institution that oversees our democratic process. We refuse to be mere spectators in matters that shape our nation's future. The IEBC selection panel must recognize that the youth of Kenya are politically conscious, actively engaged, and ready to lead and serve diligently. As the deadline for submission of the applications closes today, we demand that the selection panel ensures that at least two Kenyans who are of the age group of youth are appointed as IEBC commissioners. Youth representation is not a privilege, and it is a necessity and a right. A commission that does not reflect the demographics of its people cannot claim legitimacy.
Yes.
We therefore remind the selection panel that Kenyans' youth have the intellect, the experience, and the integrity to serve. We refuse tokenism. We refuse to be ignored. We demand inclusion. The voice of young people must not just be heard. It must be part of the decision-making process at the highest levels. We therefore call upon all stakeholders, civil society, political leaders, and the Kenyan public to stand with us in demand for fair representation. A democracy that sidelines its youth is a democracy that undermines its own future. So don't betray us. Today we tell the selection panel that the youth of Kenya are watching. We are watching.
We are watching.
The youths of Kenya, are we watching?
We are watching.
The youths of Kenya, are we watching?
We are watching.
Asante sana.
Thank you.
I therefore call my sister Angel Mbuthia to continue.
Vijana power.
Power.
Vijana viva.
Viva.
Vijana ria.
Ria.
Thank you so much. My name is Angel Mbuthia, and I want to make my remarks. And today, we know very well that it is the deadline of the submission of applications for IEBC commissioners. And I want to assure you Kenyans and the selection panel that as we speak today, 219 applications have been made by young people from our sectors.
Viva.
And we have 10 more pending applications that are yet to be submitted by close of day today at 5 p.m. So the selection panel should not tell us that they do not have young people to pick from. They have a pool of young people to pick from.
Absolutely.
In the previous selection, we wrote to the selection panel. We have also written to the selection panel again. So they must not claim not to remember, because we have reminded them not to forget. We are watching. Thank you.
Vijana power. Power. Vijana power. Power. Asanteni sana. Kwa majina ni Mundalo Advice. Na nataka kusema kwamba masuala ya uchaguzi ni masuala ya vijana. Kwa sababu ukiangalia katika taifa la Kenya sasa, kila kiongozi yako pale nje anatafuta kura ya vijana. Kila mtu anataka kura ya vijana in 2027. lakini watu hawataki kuhusisha vijana mahali ambapo mambo yanapikwa, mahali ambapo masuala yanafaa. Watu hawataki kuhusisha vijana. Na nabu nataka kusema kwamba sisi hatatumika tu kupiga kura. Katika kura ya 2027 vijana hawatapiga tu kura. Vijana watasimama kura, na kwa sababu vijana watasimama kura wingi, na vijana ndio kura inayotafutwa zaidi. Nataka kuambia IEBC selection panel kwamba lazima vijana wahusishwe kuhesabu kura. Lazima tuhesabu kura kwa sababu sisi ndio tunasimama kura kwa wingi na sisi ndio tunapiga kura kwa wingi. Lazima tuwe pale katika ile IEBC commissioners. Kwa hivyo kama vile wenzangu wamesema, lazima vijana wawili wahusishwe. Najua leo ni deadline ya hizo applications. Na vile mwenzangu Angel amesema, vijana zaidi ya 200 tunajua, sio mambo ambayo tunazungumzia tu. Tunajua vijana zaidi ya 200 wamefanya hizo applications. Kwa hivyo tunataka vijana wakuwe shortlisted, na kitu cha pili wawe selected, kwa sababu vijana wako qualified, vijana wako ready, na vijana wako willing to serve. Vijana power, vijana power, vijana power. Asanteni sana. Nataka kumkaribisha dada yangu Nerima wako hapa.
Thank you. As my colleagues have mentioned, we live in a democracy where 70% and more is young people. And right in front of you is a representation of that 70%. And in a democracy, majority have their way, while minority have their say. In Kenya, at the moment, minority have their way, while minority have their say. And according to the Constitution, Article 55B, as already mentioned in the press statement, we have every right to be part of the process, to lead the process, and to be represented. So what we are saying here is not a matter of ask. It is a demand to follow the law and to follow the Constitution for the representation of the majority. We as young people cannot continue to be invisible. Thank you.
My name is Salome Gekonyo. We are tired of being part of the menu. We want a seat at the table. We are not requesting, we are demanding, and we are watching. Remember, all of us are exposed, especially on social media, so we will be very keen on checking the process. We want to be part of the team, and we want to be involved. We are not the leaders of tomorrow, we are the leaders of now. So it is time for the government and the selection committee to remember we are watching them.
At this point, we will take questions, if there are any. All right, I don't know if I respond to that or I take two, then I respond to two first. If there's any other question.
The second speaker said something that if we are not selected to be among the commissioners, what is the plan B?
Okay.
In case from the 19 years, in case none of them is selected, what is the next course of action?
Okay.
My name is Omala from West TV. My question to you is whether you have confidence in that select committee. Are you confident that
Okay. Last one, then I respond. Okay. The way I had introduced myself, my name is Alex Matere. I also convene a youth organization called Youth Bridge Kenya, where I serve as the executive director. Now, Africa is experiencing a very important phenomenon that has been referred to as a youth bulge, where 70 to 75% in some countries of the population constitute young people. In Kenya, 75% of our population is actually under the age of 35. Our median age at the moment stands at 19 years. If you look at the voter register, you'd find that the same statistics also apply in the voter register. And that's why we are insisting that for the IEBC to be inclusive of this majority vote of young people, we can only be sure that our voices are heard and our votes count if we have young people also part and parcel of IEBC. Secondly, it's also worth noting that we have seen the kind of conversations that are going on. Even the select panel itself, I know it will be guided by other principles. There's that principle of gender, there's a principle of regional representation, there's also that principle of meritocracy cutting across. But remember, Article 100 of our Constitution clearly stipulates that all special interest groups, and specifically for this purpose, young people, have to be part and parcel of the formation of independent commissions, including and not limited to IEBC. And therefore, we think that from where we sit, we have competent young people from different sectors with different professionalism who merit enough to sit at the Independent Electoral and Boundary Commission. Lastly, if I respond to that question, the aspect that we have young people forming the foundation of our voter register, we just believe that if we have young commissioners, they can be able to come up with policies, with strategies that will inform even activities like voter register, even activities like voter education. We do not want to go back to the quagmire where we had more than 13 million young people not turning up to vote. If you look at even the projections that IEBC has for 2027, they are talking about 6 million new voters. The 6 million new voters are young people. So we want a commission that will be youth sensitive, that will endear itself to young people to ensure that the youth voice count, but also the youth vote can also come to the stage for that decision to actually stand. Thank you.
What if it happens that among the commissioners, no youth is elected? What is the next course of action?
Now, the Constitution of Kenya provides avenues where we petition even government bodies, including a panel that is constituted to constitute all the independent commissions. They have a procedure and process unto which it guides on how that particular activity has to go on. When we assemble here as a constellation of young people cutting across all sectors of our republic, we want to make it very clear that from where we sit, it will be important for this particular aspect to be followed. Secondly, I have stated the constitutional provision, Article 100, that stipulates that young people must also be considered when we are going for public offices, including independent commissions. Third, there are also remedies that young people are willing to take. My previous speakers have talked about all the other options that we have. We have legal options. We can actually petition first. We can actually go to the National Assembly. We can still go to court and petition also the Constitution of IEBC. If we do not feel that it's as representative as it's supposed to be, then we have legal channels that we are willing and able and also seeking to pursue if the demands and the requests that we have forwarded to the panel are not adhered to.
And street channels.
What is your take on because the deadline for boundary delimitation is gone, and you are saying more youths want to buy, and the more you want, the more electoral units are supposed to be created. So do you think the timelines will allow the boundary delimitation to be done so that youths can explore or exploit such units?
Okay. So far, before I welcome one youth leader to also respond, as I just close, starting from that question that you have asked. As at the moment, if you look at the constitution of IEBC together with all supporting acts, we are way, way far behind the timelines for reconstitution of boundaries. There was also an advisory opinion that was sought up to the Supreme Court. And for us as young people, we are not first driven by that aspect. We want first to ensure that we have these 6 million young people coming out and forming the part and parcel of the voter register. Secondly, we also want the youth representation in IEBC. Once we have that, then young candidates, young political leaders who want to pursue public office through elections can actually now lay out their manifesto. And we believe that if the youth form a critical chunk of our population, then they have a chance to stand there. It's not about the size of the cake, but it's about the quality of the cake. If we have those constituencies that we currently have, and we have young people contesting there, we want to be assured of a transparent, a very open, and a very clear electoral process that guarantees even the less influential members of the society an opportunity to pursue and occupy public office. Thank you.
Sensitizing the youth now that you know that you carry the biggest chunk of the voters.
Comprehensive plan.
You wait for IEBC to do the civic education.
We are on with that.
Can I answer?
By the mere fact that we are here, you can be rest assured that we are very active politically. We saw the demonstrations that this country experienced, where it was actually driven by Gen Zs. Those are young people who are exercising their political rights. And for the first time, we want to direct the energy that was on the streets to the ballot. And the only way that we can be able to assure that our young people are sure that their voices and their votes count is if we have a transparent, a merit-based IEBC that will ensure that we have free and fair elections across. Allow me just to invite Angel and also advice to handle any other question that is coming, and also just to also add their voice on the questions that have been asked. If there will be any requests for a vernacular aspect of the presser, we are also willing to do that.
Okay, maybe just to also add my voice on one of the questions that you asked about sensitization. Yes, it is true that even this is part of what we are actually doing to sensitize. But you must also be cognizant to the reality that sensitization is also a function of the IEBC. Now you understand why we insist that a young person must be part of those commissioners, so that they remind the commission that that sensitization is very, very necessary. And two, there was a question about the addition of the constituencies so that youth can vie. The young people are not running as excesses. We are not running because there is an excess constituency that is supposed to be created for us. We are running in the demographic as it is in this country. And we are going to win the election with the demography as it is, not because we want something to be created. We don't want a bouncing castle for young people. Young people are going to defeat those ones who are there as in the demography as it is today. Angel, maybe you have something.
So we cannot fail to emphasize that young people are no longer marginalized in this country. We are stakeholders. And so even when we are talking about which channels we are going to use after this, I think it is very clear that we cannot also wait for them to form go to interviews or even shortlist the candidates. Then we begin making the noise. We have begun right now from the word go. Na hii mchezo ya taoni tunaijua, because even in the previous election they did the same thing, but this time round they should know that we are watching. Thank you.